Hi everyone, this is Confused Matthew and Stand-In Stan, and we are now going to be reviewing a movie that we recently saw together called Terminator Salvation. And, yeah. You know, I really wish at some point that I could just review a movie that was okay. Because we reviewed, The Love Guru recently, and that was terrible. And then we reviewed Watchmen, and that was fantastic.
Really good.
Yeah. I wish I could just come over here and say, you know, that was okay. There were some parts I liked and some parts that I didn't like. And I wish I just didn't have to be mad every time I have to do this. Because that was a shit film.
Well, I usually don't get mad. I am mad after seeing that film. Two things that stand out real fast before we get into just the overall... before we just get into the overall plot. There was a line where the Terminator guy, who doesn't know he's a Terminator, he thinks he's a human, he meets a woman in the desert, and she said two things that made me actually stop the film for a minute and talk to you about it. One was, if you have a problem with the machines, John Connor's the man to talk to. Well, first of all, what do you mean if you have a problem with the machines? This isn't the machines aren't a totalitarian government.
Yeah, everyone has a problem with the machines.
Who doesn't have a problem with the machines? Yeah. And you know why that line was in there? Because we need to make these people speak in resistance jargon. So they're just
you
throw
get
that in
that
there.
all.
Yeah, I know.
And it's the most stock resistance jargon I've ever heard in my life. You've heard this all before, and I love how John Connor has nothing to do in this movie.
Yeah, I know, and that's my other problem with what the woman said. She said, if you have a problem with the machines, Connor's the man to talk to. Well, the only thing Connor had done for his whole career, apparently, is talk on the fucking radio.
Yeah, and I love how they're trying to make it seem like he's big in the resistance, even though he did nothing in this movie. So they have to have him do things to make it sound like he's a big guy. So he's going to say over the radio to someone who's being shot at in a plane, "Take evasive action." Okay, well, I was just gonna fly in a straight line and get shot at before you said that, but now that you said that, yeah, I'll take it. And then, his plane is going down, so eject. Okay, well, I was gonna stay in the plane and go down before you said that.
It's a good thing we got Connor here. Yeah. We wouldn't have ejected when our plane was on fire.
And God damn, that was a slow-ass movie.
Oh, my God.
None of it makes any kind of sense as far as what the machines are doing or what the humans are doing. Where the fuck were the Terminators in there? This is supposed to be like, the Terminators are everywhere, and we have few places to hide. The Terminators were nowhere. We see, like, 3 of them.
Yeah, we see, like, 3 of them, and we see one in particular that's like a giant... 80-story Terminator thing that looks like one of the Transformers badly done.
Hey, Terminators! Just build those!
Yeah, I thought to myself...
What are they bothering with the humanoid Terminators
if they have those...
And then I love how that thing, it's shooting down cars left and right like there's no tomorrow, but then when the main characters who have main character powers, it misses them, so rather than just take another shot, it's going to launch 2 motorcycles at them. I'm not kidding. For people who haven't seen the movie, I'm not kidding about that.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It was ridiculous.
The thing is, the whole time I was watching this, I kept on thinking about that Christian Bale rant, because Bale does such a bad job in this movie. It personifies everything that I don't like about his performances. The man cannot emote. And the thing is, in that rant, he was like... His excuse for it was, well, it was an emotional scene in the movie. And the whole time I was watching the movie, I kept on thinking, where?
Yeah,
where was there an emotional scene?
You don't see it on the screen. You don't see it in his performance. And what I don't like about Bale is he tries to understand his roles so well, and then he never acts on that understanding.
I'll tell you something. He had more passion in that goddamn rant than he did in the whole movie.
Yeah, I wish there had been something like that.
This is John Connor in the whole movie. This is John Connor. We're fighting the resistance. I'm in the resistance, and I fight. and we all fight, and we all win. Yeah, that's really emotional, Bale. Fuck you.
Yeah, I can
I'm
tell.
sorry, let me take that fuck you back, because I don't really have a problem with Bale as an actor. I don't think he's good, but it's not for a lack of trying.
No.
It's just, the material is bad for one thing, but for another thing, he's kind of gotten locked into that Batman sort of thing. He's even using the voice every once in a while. Yeah. I didn't mean that fuck you, really. I'm more upset about how the performance came off and what he was doing.
And how lackluster the script was.
Oh, the script is just horrible. To give an example of how bad the script is, just one example of how awful this script is. There's a point in the film where John Connor is having a conversation with the Terminator that thinks he's a human, and then the first thing he says to him in the conversation is, "I know what you are, even if you don't." And the last thing he says to him in the conversation is, "What are you?"
Yeah.
I mean, did anyone proofread this script?
Were there even script meetings held?
Yeah.
90% of this movie is just your standard, stock military and resistance. I mean, I swear, a good hunk of this movie is just people running around going, "We have a bogey in Sector 947. Launch Quad 2.
They didn't even have bogeys. They were talking about things that we don't get to see on screen. The Terminators are supposed to be, we see them in the Terminator factory. Then we get to the Terminator factory, and you've got one Terminator chasing after them.
Well, you actually
in
said,
the whole factory.
You actually said, boy, it's a good thing after Connor destroys the Arnold Terminator. We'll talk about that later. But after he destroys him, you actually said, boy, it's a good thing they only sent one Terminator after you in that Terminator factory. It's just ridiculous.
And then just little things that turned out to be big problems since there's nothing else to focus on, since there's no movie here, that, like, they run into, essentially, like, the woman character and then the Terminator who thinks he's a human, they run into, essentially, Deliverance. Like, they're transported from this movie, Deliverance, and then they're like, come on, let's tie her up and beat her down, Shagel. And I'm like, and then, it's nice to know in the future that all of the rednecks are going to migrate to L.A.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
What is that stereotype doing in that location?
I mean, they're doing in that setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And, of course, that was done just to give her something to fight, and just to give her people to fight.
But then she's like, "I know you're a good person," after spending 3 whole hours with you, 2 of which were spent just walking and not talking to one another.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an obvious routine setup, but they can't even have us watch it in the movie. Like, maybe watch these two actually bond. They just have to say they've bonded.
And we don't get any sense whatsoever that John Connor is of any magnitude.
They said he wasn't of any magnitude, and that's what confuses me, because he kept on saying, okay, well, Kyle Reese is going to die, and if Kyle Reese dies, then I'm not going to be born, and the future is destroyed. And I'm like, you haven't done anything. He wasn't important in this. If Kyle Reese died and he didn't exist, how does he know the Resistance wouldn't have been fine?
See, even if they want to set up that he's going to be important later, now that the big boss is gone, they weren't setting it up that way. Because remember what that woman said? If you have a problem with the machines, talk to Connor. Well, okay, so
we were supposed to think he's important now.
So the guy goes there, talks to. Okay, I'm supposed to talk to you. Are you John Connor? Yeah. Are you a leader? No. Do you do anything important? No. Okay, why was I supposed to talk to you? Why didn't he talk to the guy on the sub?
Yeah. And the guy on the sub, you got the drill sergeant from Starship Troopers there, just saying, okay. Oh, so is this the point in the film where we need to cut Connor's wings? Okay, you are off the force. You are off the division. I am going to strip you of your rank. Of course.
Yeah, he said.
Of course you are.
Yeah, he callously, after being told that there were civilians there, he said, "Launch all the missiles," or something like that, and I added, "I'm an asshole."
Yeah.
He might as well. He might as well just had a name tag that said "Movies Asshole."
The funny thing is, Terminator 3. Remember the one with the girl? Yeah. The girlinator.
Yeah.
I didn't hate that one. It just really disappointed me because, and it's funny because the biggest problem I had with that film is that I thought that they were playing it too safe. That they were following the Terminator formula a little too closely.
Right.
This movie is making me think that that's all you can do.
Yeah, you know,
because
I
this
think
goes completely
see,
out of the formula.
The thing is, I thought, excuse me, I thought they were going to establish. I thought they were going to do sort of a Battlestar Galactica type setup where humanity was saying to itself, what little humans were left were saying, you know, what's the point of even fighting? There's so few of us. And at that point, we were going to see John Connor come in and say, look, we need to band together. We need to fight. Well, if the resistance is already established and he had nothing to do with it, that's so uninteresting.
But you know,
and
even if they had done your idea, that still wouldn't work. This is what I was trying to say when we talked about this. I mean, this is exactly the same problem I had with that Kobayashi Maru scene in the new Star Trek film, where seeing it is not as good as hearing about it. I mean, when you hear about it, and it creates a mythos around, you know, that if these events, after, you know, when you show that in a film, then we're just looking at it and we already know what it is. I knew that this movie was going to be what it was. I thought this. I knew exactly what they were going to try to do with it. Even if they had gone with your idea, it's just if looking at it is not as good as hearing about it, don't do it. We don't need to see it, and we don't need to see this.
I agree with you about that. The idea that I presented, which they should have done, would have been better. But as I think about it now, it probably wouldn't be. I think you're right that you can't really make that more interesting than just hearing about it as, like you said, this sort of mythological.
And if it's not as good, why do it?
I agree.
The last thing I wanted to say was, you might want to check this movie out just to see, I mean, if you're curious, just to see the fakest looking Arnold Schwarzenegger you've ever seen in your life.
I actually thought it looked great.
I thought it looked horrible. I thought it looked like Pixar.
No, I couldn't. Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if that was a CGI or a double, or maybe a mix of both. That's funny. It convinced me.
Well, I'm sure you'll get a lot of sympathizers in the comments.
Or I might get a lot of people saying, when
maybe, I don't know. I thought it looked terrible. And you could just hear Arnold Schwarzenegger going, you know, I'm getting paid, and I'm not even here. I'm in California. Oh, wait, this is set in California. I am in 2 Californias.
No, the thing is, when he got when he got his skin burned off, because obviously they couldn't do the effect forever.
Don't no, you must burn off my skin. No, this is too expensive.
Now I will get a short royalty check. I'll eat you. No, the thing is, I wanted to talk a little bit about this because Arnold will get a check from that because they use his likeness, and the reason that's true, you know this, I'm just saying it for the listeners, the reason that's true is because in Back to the Future 2, Crispin Glover didn't come back as George McFly, so they hired a double. They didn't recast. They hired a double to stand in for Crispin Glover. They used prosthetics to make him look like Crispin Glover. That had never been done before.
Yeah, I know. And Crispin was like, "What do I do? I think I need to get paid for this."
Yeah, said, I think they have to give me some money for this, and so he actually sued and won. They settled out. Well, he said they settled out of court.
And it put a new precedent in there.
In the Screen Actors Guild, there's now a precedent to where if they use your likeness, you get a check. So Arnold gets a royalty check,
which he needs.
Oh yeah, he needs it desperately.
The movie was awful.
Astonishingly bad.
No emotion, no script, no story, no characters. It's just a complete dud. So that's how we felt about Terminator Salvation. Yeah, there were spoilers in here, but we didn't really ruin anything because it's a bad movie. Don't see it.
Don't see it.
And that's about it.